morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. I'm one of your hosts, Sheldon McKinney.
And I'm your other host, Ruth Ann Fink.
And today we have with us Devin Fuhrman. He serves as the Chief Agriculture and Sponsor Relations Officer for Nationwide Insurance. And so in this role, Devin enables nationwide businesses by managing several key agriculture relationships, and he serves as a connecting point to all of the resources that Nationwide offers to their friends in agriculture. This includes leading efforts to recognize agriculture teachers here in Kentucky. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But Devin, let's begin by just you introducing yourself and sharing a bit about your path that has led you to this role at Nationwide.
Well, first of all, Sheldon and Ruth Ann, thank you. Really appreciate this opportunity to come visit with you today, and really proud of this program. But just to give everybody a little background on myself, I'm an Iowa farm kid. Grew up in Story City, Iowa, a little tiny town right in the middle of the state, and my folks still grow corn and soybeans there. And was an FFA kid growing up, actually president of my local chapter, and so FFA is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I like to tell everybody all the time, the things that I learned in FFA and being part of that organization, I still use even in my job today. And it's really a kind of a special place for developing the next generation of ag leaders. So Nationwide is really happy to be a part of it. I actually started out my career working in the ag industry as an agronomist at a local farmers cooperative. So I started out actually selling seed chemicals, fertilizer, and do GIS mapping and variable rate fertilizer and all kinds of fun stuff. And then accidentally fell into insurance, which that's probably a story for another day, because nobody intentionally goes into the insurance business, but I did find a very unique place here at Nationwide where I got to sell agricultural insurance products, and then ultimately led me to this job where I get to work with our agricultural industry to really help the ag and food industry thrive by utilizing different products from Nationwide that help them sustain their businesses, sustain their families, or really supporting the rural communities in which we live and serve the agricultural and food community. So it's a unique job at Nationwide. It goes way back to our founding. We were actually started by the Ohio Farm Bureau in 1926. And agriculture has been at our roots as an organization ever since. And obviously our connection to the Farm Bureau and all kinds of ag relationships across the country are really important to us. And I have the pleasure of leading us through that at Nationwide. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I can't wait to have a conversation about what's next.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you really found your fit and combining in a very roundabout way. It sounds like all your passions, and you're a great fit for this role. So we look forward to hearing some more about your particular interests and what's kind of led you there. And you mentioned that you were a farm kid, and just share with our listeners what has been your FFA experience, your personal story with FFA, and why is FFA such a priority to Nationwide?
Yeah, thank you. And from very beginnings, growing up in ag and being both my grandparents on both sides of my family were farmers. So I kind of grew up just being around agriculture and that unique community that agriculture has, where everybody works together and finds way to support their community when things get tough. And it was a unique place. In fact, when I go back home, I live in Ohio now, but when I go back to Iowa, I still see the same kids I grew up with out there running around in the farm fields. And so agriculture has always been something that's near and dear to me, and would love to have gone back into farming right out of college, but it wasn't in the cards. And so I ended up having to take what my dad called one of those fancy jobs of town, and ended up in the agronomy space. But as I think about my FFA experience, I mean, we did all kinds of things and activities, and our FFA advisor, Brad Taylor, he was phenomenal about really engaging, and he spent a lot of his own time and money and invested us as kids and really developed us as leaders by teaching us the skills that we needed to have, but also introducing us to how to network and how to have conversations with people who are in the industry, learning about other parts of agriculture, including other states when we'd go to national conventions or regional conventions, and spending time getting to know what's going on in the industry. And it just opened some doors to me of thinking about, how do you network? How do you connect? How do you create relevant relationships? And then eventually get into what I call this environment of trust with a community of people who care about similar things, have some shared values, but also some very diverse opinions on what needs to happen and go forward. And I think FFA, and I know my advisor and many other advisors across the country teach the skills for you to actually engage in that community and think about how you can do something that's good for society, good for your own community, but also for yourself as a leader and developing the skills that will take you all the way through your career. I don't care what it is that you do. I'm fortunate enough to actually still get to be involved in agriculture, but even if you're not, there are things that come out of FFA that you can use across any industry. And I think that's really important to highlight as we think about the skills and talents that advisors have and ag educators in particular, the skills that they bring to the table that they transfer to their students that really carry us forward into the future.
That's
great.
exactly right. You know, our vision is growing leaders, building communities, and strengthening agriculture. And FFA really does help shape you as a community leader and an industry leader in your own personal growth. And so we know that we couldn't do that without the work of agriculture teachers. You know, nationwide in Kentucky FFA, this is a new relationship this year. But what you all are offering, we have just announced this week that we are offering the Golden Owl Award to Kentucky ag educators. It is the first time that in Kentucky we have ever gotten to do this, but it's not Nationwide's first time offering it. You all are in several other places around the country. So why don't you just tell us, what is the Golden Owl Award and why do you
Yeah,
all do it?
you bet. And so it's actually an annual program. So every year we kind of redo, and we're in 11 states now where we're actually out there working with organizations like yours to really bring and create an awareness about the importance of agricultural education.
Mhm.
The contributions of the teachers in this space are tremendous.
Yeah.
We want to help supply additional resources and help really build on what they're already doing. Um, and so we thought, back in 2018, we said we need to do something. And there's been a number of different programs out there to recognize teachers. I've heard of Golden Apple and Star Awards and all different kinds of things. But we thought there should be something because of Nationwide's agricultural roots and history, dating back to our founding. We need to like lean in on something. And so the advisor is stationed by the owl. And so we utilize that to say, let's actually recognize these ag educators because of what they do, not only in the classroom, but what they do with FFA, and really build something that we think could carry forward. And we're now going to be in 13 states where we're doing this. And it started with Iowa and Ohio, and really engage the community in recognizing those teachers. And they're doing a great job with it. And every year we see more and more nominations that come as the process. In fact, just to give you a couple of little tidbits here, last year alone, we had over 3,500 nominations across all those states, 79 finalists, and we awarded 13 awards out there. And it's done a tremendous amount for, I think, for the communities in those states. And it does connect us back to our agricultural roots in a unique and different way. And it's something that, as somebody who grew up in FFA and appreciates what I've been able to experience and the benefits, it's a way for many others in our organization, including our board of directors, who many of them are farmers who have FFA experience, our CEO, my boss, a number of leaders across Nationwide, all have been a part of FFA. And it's a way for us to kind of give back to something that we feel has actually helped us move forward in what we do every single day and guided us along the way. So, excuse me, a very special opportunity for us. We tried it out. It really resonated with the communities, and it really gives back. And the dollars that the individual can win through this, we know are going to be used for good. And
Sure.
so all around great stuff.
Yeah, well, let me give some instructions maybe about what's going to happen with the Kentucky Golden Owl program. And so our nomination window is going to be October 1st through December 1st. You can find it easily on our website. Just a quick Google, Kentucky FFA Golden Owl Award. And it is just a 250-word essay, really, not even an essay, a paragraph about why
Yep.
your agriculture teacher has made a big difference. And so we have a program called Ag Teachers Change Lives in Kentucky that's kind of that lifetime culmination of a career. This is not, it's more like the more recent. So in the last year or 2 years, what has your ag teacher done to inspire you as a student, to make a difference in your community, to make a difference in agriculture, and just share that little snippet about them and who they are. From that, we will take all those nominations. We have 12 regions in Kentucky FFA, so there will be a judging criteria, and out of all the nominations, we'll have 12 regional finalists that will each receive $500. That's
Mhm.
huge, and kind of a
Mhm.
surprise ceremony to find out who the regional winners were. At that point, they can then complete our Teacher of the Year application. And at State FFA Convention, we will announce our big Golden Owl winner, who is our Kentucky Ag Educator of the Year, and they will receive $3,000. So it's a significant investment you all are making in recognizing teachers and their efforts. So thank you all for that. And if you're listening and you think your ag teachers made a real difference, I hope you fill out the application. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I would imagine, in fact, we find it often that when we see these nominations, people really struggle to keep it to 250 words because there's so much that they'd like to
Yeah.
say. That's mostly so that we can get through all of those nominations. And, just in Ohio alone last year, we had over 500 nominations.
Yeah.
Obviously multiple for one teacher, but the meaningfulness of those, they're so much fun to read and go through those. And I know it's going to be a challenge, but when you do get to those 12 finalists and then you finally get to your Ag Educator of the Year for Kentucky, it's going to be a celebration.
Yeah.
It's so neat to see the community come out and support that in that way. And sometimes it's a very emotional response that we get from the entire community, including the teacher, when those awards are given out.
Yeah.
Devin, would you share just what are some of those key moments that you remember from applications you've read or stories that the impact that this project has really had on teachers and their communities?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I've seen everything from, kids who grew up in agriculture like me who didn't realize that there were certain skills that they needed to hone and it took them on to the next generation of their own career and that kind of thing. But the ones that really stood out to me are the ones who said, I didn't think I had a home in agriculture because I didn't grow up on a farm. But I found out that I have a way to contribute my skills and my talents and my thoughts and my experiences in the ag industry because FFA gave me a pathway. It actually introduced me to some really neat opportunities, really unique people, communities that I didn't think that I would want to get involved in. And my ag educator helped me go from where I was to where I am today. And they may have been somebody who didn't grow up on a farm. I mean, if you think about it, there's fewer and fewer kids growing up actually on the farm, but there are a lot of FFA organizations in metro areas now, and it introduces these young people and future leaders to opportunities that they may not have thought they had. And for an individual like an ag educator to have a part in that, it needs to be celebrated because they didn't get it, just through the regular curriculum. They did it because of all the extra stuff they did and all the extra investment that they make. And so we hope, while the cash award is something special, we hope it goes far. And I know my wife is actually a teacher. I know a teacher can make a dollar go a long, long way. And so this investment that we've been making, we know exactly where that's going to go. And if it helps one, two, or three individuals find a pathway that they didn't have, it's like some of the nominations that I've read, that's tremendous. And that is worth it all by itself.
Yeah. Something that makes this special is that it's not self-nominated. Prior to this, our Teacher of the Year award was you had to fill out your application, and do that. And guess what? Teachers are not people who like to brag on their own selves. They like to brag on their students. So I love that this gives students and community members, alumni, administrators, an opportunity to brag on those teachers. And though we're figuring out the mechanics, we hope that teachers are going to get to see some of the kind things that were said about them, because it is hard. There are a lot of challenges in being a teacher, and everything we can do to make sure that they know that they are appreciated and valued and that they are truly changing the lives of their students and their community. It's incredible. And we thank Nationwide for coming up with this program and for inviting Kentucky to be a part of it.
It is our pleasure, and it is a great opportunity. I've been to many of these surprise visits to the schools and been able to read some of those comments, and for the teacher to either sit there or sometimes they're standing next to me. You can sense their appreciation for that, but also their humility and saying, I'm just doing my job. And I'm like, well, that's why we're recognizing it, because by you just doing your job and doing it to the level of excellence that you have, it's worth celebrating, like many other teachers that are in the school. But this is a place where, nationwide, again, because of our heritage and our connection to agriculture and the importance of agriculture to our country, it's important that we keep celebrating something that's unique and different, which is the ag educator and the FFA advisor.
Absolutely. Sheldon, if we have people listening, students or principals, like you said, whoever those community people are, and they really want to nominate an ag teacher in their circle, how would they go about doing that?
So we're going to have the link in our show notes wherever you're listening. You can see it there, but you could just Google Kentucky FFA Golden Owl Award and it'll pop up. There is an application on our website. It is a quick form. We just ask for your name, your email, the teacher's name and email, and 250 words of why you think they're made a difference in your life. And there's also another box to share a specific story if you need 500. So we have two kind of boxes you can fill out, but nominations are open from October 1st to December 1st, and we really hope that you apply.
I bet there will be tons of applications. We hear stories on this podcast and just in general all the time about the great work that Kentucky ag teachers are doing. Well, Devin, we always ask our guests the same 3 questions as we round out our podcast, and we talk a lot about leadership on here. So a lot of these questions have to do about your philosophy on leadership and your personal experiences. But the first one, maybe the hardest, is what is the best piece of leadership advice you've ever received?
Wow, I've gotten a lot of great advice from a lot of great people, but I think it really comes down to, for me, it's about building effective teams and knowing that, individuals all have their own strengths and they have their own experiences and they have their own thoughts. But when you're able to develop and put together a team of people and allow that team to do what they do best, really good things happen. So my first thought anytime that I either take on a new team or have a new team member is, how will we function as a team? Will we be able to share our own opinions and have open dialogue? Will we be able to work together and come to decisions? And my job, I almost see it. I played a lot of sports in high school and in college. I'm the head coach. So I don't want to get in the way of what their skills and talents are, but allow them to work as a team so that they can bring their best every day to really finding those mutual successes across the team. And so the advice that I'd give and that I've been given is work on teamwork. Be best at teamwork. Don't just think about it, but be best and see how, when you come to work every day, how can you help another teammate be better that day? And if you do that, I think for the most part, things work out. So that's been something I've kind of clung to throughout my entire career.
That's great for everyone to hear. We're always going to work with people no matter where we are in life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Kentucky FFA Foundation, we're a philanthropy. We're all about giving back. People can give back in lots of ways, time, talent, and treasure. But we like to give our guests an opportunity to shout out to somebody who's really given back a lot to you. And so who's somebody like you would like to recognize who's poured into you and been part of your leadership journey?
Oh, man. Again, so many. But I think I'd like to call out our current president of Nationwide Agribusiness. His name is Brad Liggett. He has been a lifetime member of the Nationwide family. He has been a leader for so many people, and he is one of those people that when he is mentoring, coaching, leading others, it's really about as selfless as you can get. And he pours his heart into every conversation that he has with, either it's a Nationwide associate, it's young people he's met. He appreciates, the opportunity that he has to lead and guide others. And, it is kind of interesting, something he does once a year, and he's in Iowa, where our Nationwide Agribusiness is headquartered. Once a year, he brings in the state FFA officers. And he says, I could be having a really bad day or a really bad week. I bring them in. He goes, I feel better about the future. So what he gets is a mutual type
Yeah.
of benefit from that type of interaction with young people and other leaders that he's coaching. And so he's been really instrumental in my own career, and I appreciate him as a leader, as a friend. And my kids have known him since they were little. They still call him Uncle Brad. So I mean, it's a really unique relationship, and I appreciate him so much.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you.
Well, our last question we always ask is more of a fun one, but what is something you're loving right now that's just helping you grow? And this can really be anything, a habit, a tool, a gadget, just anything that's helping you grow right now in your leadership journey.
Well, if my daughters listen to this, they'll be ashamed of me, but I'm going to say it anyway. So my wife and I are learning to be parents of adult kids. And we have one that is out of college and one who is in college. And so balancing the new environment of being empty nesters, and when they have issues, providing them with advice, but not parenting the way we did when they were young. And so I'm learning a whole new discipline of, if you will, family leadership. And it's wonderful. We're proud of them. They're doing great. But at the same time, you worry for them every day and you want to just tell them what to do, but you need to let them kind of figure things out and have their own choices. And they're doing great. But at the same time, my wife and I have really lengthy, long, and usual conversations about, are we doing this right? I'm not so sure, but we're enjoying the process. But it's one of those things right now that we're working through, and I need all the coaching and feedback I can get right now on some of that. But it's been fun to kind of see us all develop through that.
Yeah. Parenting is a journey. It's
It
really
is. And
never
there's no
over.
handbook for it. There's no handbook.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for being with us today. We are thrilled to offer the Golden Owl Award in Kentucky, and this is really a year-long process. Nominations are in October, finalists are announced in March, and the winner is announced in June. So for this next year, we're going to be celebrating ag teachers and their efforts, and it's because of Nationwide. So thank you so much.
Well, looking forward to it, and I hope very much so I'll have the opportunity to come down and help you all celebrate when those opportunities come up.
I hope so too. Well, Devin, thank you for being with us. And folks, check out the Golden Owl Award here in Kentucky. I hope you nominate your favorite ag teacher. And that's it for today on this episode of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. Growing Kentucky's Leaders is a podcast brought to you by the Kentucky FFA Foundation. Our music is performed by Bourbon County FFA member Joe Fritch. Artwork is by Julie Fritch Creative. Your hosts are Sheldon McKinney and Ruth Ann Fink, and you can find us on all social platforms at Kentucky FFA.